Welcome to Storied Audio. Nina hadn't planned to stray. She wasn't a heartbreaker, a cheater, or someone who played games. At least, that's what she always told herself. She had been dating Mark for almost a year, and on paper, everything was fine. He was loyal, smart, and gentle in all the ways her exes hadn't been. He made her coffee in the morning, kissed her forehead without being prompted, and remembered little things, like how she hated cilantro or how her favorite movie was Before Sunrise. But lately, things had started to feel flat. The spark had dulled. Conversations were routine. Dates had turned into staying in with takeout and reruns. She missed the butterflies. She missed feeling wanted. One restless night, lying in bed beside Mark as he snored softly, Nina opened her laptop. Her fingers moved with a kind of boredom-born instinct until she found herself scrolling through old Facebook messages. And that's when she saw Alex's name. Alex King. He had been a friend from college, well, more like a flirtation that never turned into anything. He was the guy who always sat next to her in philosophy class, cracked sarcastic jokes under his breath, and once got them kicked out of a lecture for whispering about existential dread like it was a soap opera. They'd had chemistry, but life pulled them in different directions after graduation. Curious, Nina clicked his profile. He looked the same. Cocky smile, messy hair, the kind of guy who didn't own an iron and somehow made it look intentional. Without thinking, she sent a message. "Hey, stranger. Long time, huh?" He responded 10 minutes later.
Wow.
Nina Walker. Didn't expect to see your name. Still making people overthink the universe? It started there, the jokes, the old banter. She laughed at her screen in the quiet dark, and when Mark stirred beside her, she quickly shut the laptop. The messages turned daily. Then came the lunch invites. Nina told herself it was innocent, just catching up with an old friend. But she didn't tell Mark. And when Alex flirted, she flirted back. It felt nice to be seen that way again. Desired. The first lunch was at a cafe near her office. They talked about college, bad dates, and their careers. He still had that same careless charm. He made her laugh in a way that felt effortless. By the third lunch, the conversation shifted. "You always had the best smile," Alex said one day, his eyes lingering a little too long. Nina looked away. "Stop. I'm just saying what's true. You look amazing." She didn't stop him. She smiled. She even let him brush a loose strand of hair from her cheek. And still, she told herself it wasn't cheating. They hadn't kissed. It was just lunch. But guilt started crawling in. She avoided eye contact with Mark. She got quiet at dinner, distracted when he talked about his day. She hid her phone, turned it face down when Alex messaged. Then one afternoon, Mark came home early. Nina was still out having coffee with Alex, and she had left her laptop open on the couch. The screen had dimmed, but a message pinged, lighting it back up. Mark didn't mean to look. He truly didn't. But his eyes caught the words as they appeared. "If I'd known you were still this beautiful, I wouldn't have waited 10 years to ask you out." Mark stared at the screen, his heart pounding. When Nina walked through the door 20 minutes later, humming to herself, she saw Mark sitting on the couch with her laptop in his lap. Her stomach dropped. "Nina," he said, his voice calm in that dangerous way that made her knees weak. "Who's Alex?" Her mouth opened, but no words came. "I read the messages." Her face flushed hot. "Mark, Are you sleeping with him?"
No.
"No, I swear. It's just we've been having lunch. That's all. I didn't think it would." "You didn't think. Period." Mark snapped, rising to his feet. Just then, headlights flooded through the window. A car pulled up to the curb and honked once. "You're seeing him today," Mark growled. "He was just dropping me off earlier," she whispered. "I left my phone in his car." Mark didn't wait. He stormed out the door. Nina chased after him, calling his name, but he was already at the car. "Are you Alex?" Mark asked, his voice tight. Alex stepped out, raising his hands.
Yeah.
"Who the hell are you?" "I'm her boyfriend." Alex's face darkened. She said she was single. "She's not." Mark shoved him. "You've been messing with someone else's girlfriend." Alex shoved back. And just like that, fists were flying. Nina screamed, trying to pull them apart, but neither man stopped. A neighbor called the cops, and within minutes, flashing blue and red lights painted the street. They were both arrested for disturbing the peace and minor assault. The next day, Nina waited outside the station. When Mark was released, he didn't look at her. His lip was busted, his knuckles raw. She tried to speak, but he walked past her in silence, got into a cab, and left. Back at the apartment, she found him packing. "Mark, please," she begged. "Let's talk." "There's nothing left to say. I never slept with him. I never even kissed him. But you lied. Over and over. You were going to him when you should have been talking to me." His voice cracked. "You made me feel like a fool." "I didn't mean to hurt you," she whispered. He paused, looking at her for the first time. "Then why did you?" "I don't know," she cried. "I guess I got bored. I missed the rush." Mark let out a humorless laugh. "Then maybe you weren't ready for someone like me." He zipped his duffel bag and walked out of her life. Nina sat on the floor of their apartment, trying to breathe in the silence. She reached for her phone and called Alex. He answered, but his voice was cold. "Nina, I'm sorry about everything. You didn't tell me you had a boyfriend." "I know. I was wrong. I didn't mean to drag you into this."
He sighed.
"Look, I like seeing you again.
I did.
But I don't mess around with people who lie to me. That's not who I am." "I didn't mean to lie." "But you did. Don't call me again." He hung up. The silence afterward was louder than any fight. In the weeks that followed, Nina kept expecting Mark to come back.
To call.
To text. She kept thinking Alex might reach out. Or that maybe someone would forgive her if she just explained it the right way. But no one came. She went to work.
Came home.
Cooked dinner for one. The apartment felt too big.
Too quiet.
She watched the shows Mark used to love just to feel like he was still there. She wore his hoodie at night. She scrolled through old photos, picnics, beach days, blurry selfies of them laughing in the kitchen. And finally, one night, it all came crashing down. She sat on the bathroom floor, clutching her knees, sobbing like something inside her had cracked open. She thought of how Mark used to rub her back when she couldn't sleep. How he always brought an extra snack in case she forgot to eat. How he made plans, long-term plans with her. And she traded it all for flirtatious messages and temporary attention. "I really loved him," she whispered. But it was too late. She had gone looking for a spark and burned down the only real thing she'd ever had. Subscribe to the channel for more audio stories.